Good evening, my friends, or good morning, or hello, or good night, depending on what time you're watching this video. I hope you're doing good. I'm doing pretty good today. We went on a hike in the mountains today. We hiked up to a lake that's called le lac du Neuveillère. It's a beautiful spot, and it was a lovely day. Very sunny, very summery. We had a swim in the lake. It was very pleasant. Oh, 9:30. Today I wanted to talk about judgment and curiosity. So let me begin with this simple statement. Where judgment begins, curiosity ends. It's a topic that's quite important to me. As a matter of fact, I have covered it briefly in a few of my past videos, in a couple of them. But I just brushed over the subject. And now I want to talk about it in its own video, a dedicated video to that topic. So let me explain what I think, what I mean when I say that where judgment begins, curiosity ends. I think curiosity is a wonderful skill, and not just a skill, but also a personality trait to have. If you are curious, you will open doors. If you are curious about things, about people, you will learn more about the world and about yourself. Whereas if you're judgmental, or if you're judging something or someone, you don't put yourself in the right dispositions to better understand what something or someone is about. And similarly, when you avoid judgment, you allow yourself to be curious a lot more. It's something I've been thinking of a lot lately. Curiosity and judgment. And actually, I'd like to quote Bob Marley. I often quote Bob Marley. I think he was a very wise man, and in many of his songs there were very insightful lyrics and pieces of wisdom. And here is the quote. While you point your finger, someone else is judging you. It's from his very famous song, Could You Be Loved? It's in the bridge section, when the I3 choir is singing the road of life is rocky and you may stumble too. So while you point your finger, someone else is judging you. And it's something it's food for thoughts. You can meditate on that quite a bit, I think. But at the same time, I don't think that judgment is inherently a bad thing. In some cases, if someone's done something terribly wrong, or not necessarily terribly wrong, but something wrong, that's objectively wrong, you can judge them for it, or you can judge yourself. You can say, yeah, objectively, that's not right. And so you're not trying to further understand what led someone to behave a certain way, or to do something, or to say something that's problematic, for instance. Because if you know there's something wrong about it, you can judge that for what it is. And you don't have to further understand, because there's nothing more to understand, right? But again, I feel like judgment and curiosity, like two sides of the same coin, almost. That being said, I prefer being curious. it opens up doors, as I said at the start of the video. It opens up opportunities. I'm 25 years old, and sometimes I look back over my shoulder. I look back on my past experiences and things that I've done, and it's kind of all over the place. I've lived in different countries, I've done different kinds of jobs, and I think that's because I was curious. I wanted to learn more about the world and also about myself. That goes together quite often. And I think if I hadn't been curious, or if it weren't for my curiosity, a lot of these experiences would have passed me by. So I'm very grateful for it, and I make these videos for me, also for potential viewers of the channel, of course, but it's also a bit of a video format type of journaling that I'm doing here on YouTube. So I feel like my mind is clear on the question of curiosity and judgment right now, at this given moment in space and time, and so I wanted to speak my mind, so that, who knows, maybe in the future I am feeling lost, or I'm trying to come back to my senses, or whatever will happen to me in the future, and maybe that video will come in handy. Also, judgment really closes doors, you know, it really does. It blocks you from experimenting or experiencing new things, especially if it's unjustified judgment, you know, when you're judging people or things with no valid reason. There's no common sense involved, you know. I've noticed that I say "you know" quite a lot. It's a tick, is that what you say? A language tick? I'm not sure that's how you say it in English. But I've noticed I say that an awful lot in my videos. It is what it is. Some people say "right" at the end of their sentences a lot, almost like a punctuation. I say "you know" quite a lot. Sorry, I digress. I became vegetarian when I was 12 years old. I mean, it's not entirely true. I do have the occasional fish dish every so often, like once a month, once every 2 months. So I guess the correct terminology would be pescatarian. I am pescatarian, that's my diet. But most of the time, I don't eat fish or meat. I never eat meat. And I started that diet a long time ago when I was 12. And going to school, going to the cafeteria, often people would ask me, "Why are you vegetarian?" People wouldn't understand. At first it was frustrating. I didn't want to answer the questions. Leave me alone, you know, I eat what I want to eat. Why bother? Why do you ask me that? But I guess I mellowed out after a few years, and then I would take the time to explain to people, oh yeah, there's a few reasons why I'm vegetarian. It's not the main topic of that video, so I don't want to dwell on it too long. But a few reasons: ethical reasons, I don't like animal cruelty, personal taste. I'm not very fond of meat to begin with, so it wasn't that difficult for me to stop eating meat. Ecological reasons, I think the meat industry is destroying our planet. It's not the only thing that's destroying our planet, but it's playing a huge part in that self-destruction that we're all willingly participating in. So a few different reasons, right? And I would explain that to people, but without trying to not make them feel guilty. because it's cool. You do you, right? Everyone's different. If you like eating meat, you go for it. Who am I to judge you for that? Genuinely, it's that's an important thing to mention. And to come back to that topic of, having classmates asking me about my vegetarian diet at school, I would explain. And I could tell when people were genuinely curious or when they were simply being judgmental. Because people who are curious will ask you once, listen to you, and all right, fair enough, and move on. But then other people refuse to understand, they would, but why the hell do you not eat meat? It doesn't add up, everyone eats meat, you're a weirdo, what the fuck, Then you're being judgmental, and then you're more in you're giving off negative vibes. Very silly example that I'm using here, but it's to illustrate that judgment and curiosity duality. And I'm not a white knight. I've been guilty of that myself too, of course. I have judged people with no reason. But you learn from your mistakes and you grow and you gain a little bit of wisdom along the way, I guess. So I like to keep that in the front part of my brain and try to remember that curiosity is key. And even if something strikes you as very out of the ordinary, as long as it's not harming or hurting anyone, even if instinctively you might want to be like, oh, that is weird, I want to judge it, and like, this is out of my understanding of things, so I'm gonna reject it. That's when you have to remember, no, let's be curious, let's ask questions, let's be respectful, let's try to understand. And everyone benefits from that. You being curious and the person or the thing you're being curious at. And again, in some very special circumstances, you can be judgmental and be like, no, that is fucked up. Nothing justifies bombing hospitals and murdering children and starting a war over stupid, lower than low interests. Nothing can justify that. Then you can be judgmental and that this is wrong. And I'm not even trying to understand. I'm not even hearing what people committing these kinds of atrocities, because I used very extreme examples here. There's no point even listening to them argue for what they're doing, because I don't want to be curious. I don't want to understand their sick logic. I'm judging it, because within myself, in my humanity, I know that it is wrong. Right? But aside from these specific circumstances, in everyday's life, most of the time, curiosity is what tool you want to use. Because let's face it, I'm not crossing paths with psychopaths on a daily basis, right? It's very unlikely to occur. Okay, I don't want this video to go on for too long because it's a very simple topic, really. And if you're still watching at this point of the video, I'm sure you get the gist, you get what I'm trying to say here. It's not groundbreaking stuff. I'm not pretending like, oh, I'm reaching the ultimate truth, I feel like these are basic common sense type of things that inherently we all understand. So yeah, avoid judgment. avoid judgment when, except in extreme cases again, and embrace curiosity. It's a beautiful thing to be curious. It's great. You feel good being curious. You feel good learning things, expanding your knowledge. Who wouldn't want to expand their knowledge? Who would want to remain ignorant? I mean, we are all ignorant. But you can step by step get closer to being less ignorant. Anywho, 50-minute long video. It's 9:45 now. I'm going to wrap it up. I wish you guys a lovely day, rest of the day, and yeah, take it easy. Little bit of teasing for what's coming next this week. I'm planning on shooting a video about the Manchester era of music in Britain. It's a rather ambitious project for me because it's one of my favorite kind of music in the world, and I want to be clear-minded when I film this video, and I want to convey the enthusiasm that I have for this kind of music through the camera. So I'm waiting for the ideal time to talk about it, but I think it's coming soon. And another video I wish to shoot is I want to tell you guys about my experience working at a school as a teaching assistant in the UK. Even though I didn't work at a school for a very long time, it was still a very valuable experience, and I would like to describe it a little bit, and why not inspire potential viewers to follow a similar path. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comment section if you disagreed with anything I said, or if you agree with anything I said, or what are your thoughts on that topic. Yeah, let's start a conversation. Remember that poetry is everywhere. It's a beautiful world out there. And yeah, peace, love and music. Take it easy, my friends. Salut!